this week?
Yeah, look, I think you're going to have spectacular earnings. How the market reacts to these is anyone's guess. Last quarter, all these companies blew the doors off, and outside of Google, were met with pretty mixed reviews. We've moved over 12% off the lows in a very short period of time, and you're at the point where CTA advisors, or commodity trading advisors, buying is basically exhausted, and because bonds haven't really rallied in the same fashion, we're looking at one of the largest pension rebalances at the end of this month that we've ever seen, to the tune of $25 billion of a sale of equities. So I'm just wondering, David, there could be a small equity sell-off here, which I would view as a huge buying opportunity for those that have missed this. Do you see the market pulling back a little bit here if we don't get the right reaction to some of these big earnings?
Listen, if the market pulls back, I would be a buyer.
Mike, I'm surprised we're not hearing more about, oh, costs went up, that went up, this went up because of the price of oil going up. You've got big tech earnings kicking off this week. Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, the next big group to look at earnings and report their quarterly numbers. That happens on Wednesday. Investors also watching closely for all that spending in AI and data center investments, the CapEx plans to build out the AI infrastructure. Apple will report on Thursday following its announcement that you've got a new CEO coming in, John Ternus. Mike, how do you see things for the week, the backdrop?
Yeah, look, these earnings are going to be spectacular, and how the market reacts to it is, I don't want to say anyone's guess, because we've got a pretty bullish backdrop going into these earnings. And so last quarter, it seemed the market just couldn't get out of its way, even though we got great earnings from all these, a lot of these names sold off. I don't see that happening here. There's a lot of momentum behind these stocks right now, and each one of these companies outside of Apple, it's going to be what does your CapEx look like? What does your cloud growth look like? For Meta, it's how much are your ad impressions up year over year, right? 18% last quarter. They're saying Meta's management was saying 10 out of that 18% came directly from AI. And so to me, Meta is the company using AI to really grow revenue, grow earnings, okay? And then you start looking at Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. What does their cloud growth look like, and what is their CapEx plans for the future? And so there is a cloud over a lot of these names because historically they've been cash machines. And now that they're spending all this money on AI, you have a different kind of risk element to these companies that we've never seen before. So can the market digest that? Can these all break out to all-time new highs? I think so. I think maybe if we get a small pullback here or there, those are opportunities to be bought. But we're looking at an unbelievable earnings season, and it's going to accelerate as we go later into the year, looking at 18, 19, 20 in the next 3 quarters on top of 15, what we've already seen right now in terms of year-over-year earnings growth.
Yeah, all great points. The president of Meta told me that Meta is spending $600 billion on capacity, on compute capacity and AI. Dina Powell-McCormick with us last week. Got to get your take, Thomas, also on your thoughts.
Yeah, this assassination culture and political violence is the hallmark of today's left. Just in Sarasota County, Florida, where I live, the Sarasota Democrats updated their Facebook status immediately after this to, quote unquote, feeling disappointed, and commented, well, that sucks, right? These are not, we are not two people of the same country. Right? We're reaching a turning point in our history where one side wants the other side dead. It's not a disagreement about tax policy, about healthcare policy. It is a pervasive assassination culture where if you don't agree with me, they call you a Nazi. And they don't call you a Nazi because they think you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi because they want to kill you. You have soccer moms trying to run down ICE agents. You have thousands of people in Minnesota trying to interfere with federal law enforcement officers. It's not just a rhetoric problem. It's a coordinated effort by the left. Yeah. I think you saw in that indictment of the SPLC last week that this is not an accident. It's not a joke. And elections now have greater consequences than they ever have in the history of our time.
You're absolutely right. Great points all around. Real quick on markets and the economy, Mike, what do you think is most important this week for investors to focus on? We've got big tech earnings, we've got a Fed meeting, could be Jay Powell's last meeting, you've got a potential reconciliation framework coming up.
Yeah, look, I think the market is off to the races. Maybe we get a little pullback just considering how fast we've run so quickly, but that should be bought. American Express just came out and said spending data for those under 45 has never been higher. So the increase in oil oil prices, the AI disruption in people's jobs has done absolutely nothing. So consumers firing on all cylinders. Okay, Kevin Warsh said it in his confirmation hearing that he views inflation through different metrics, not the traditional metrics, and it's much lower than is being projected. So we're probably going to get lower rates much faster now that we've cleared this hurdle. We're going to get unbelievable earnings this week, accelerating into the rest of the year. So all systems go.
Absolutely, and Kevin Warsh's confirmation hearing now will move quickly, likely on in May. Thank you, Mehek Cook and Michael Lee, for joining us this morning. Great to see you both, and we'll be right back.